Hey, how's it going? Thank you for joining me on this week's episode of The Real Deal. Today, we're talking about interest rates and the difference they make on your home purchase today versus 2 years ago. That is one of the number one concerns that I have when clients come in for a consultation, sellers or buyers, is trying to figure out, what they can afford and comparing it to, what prices were. Because obviously, prices have continued to rise. We've had a big increase in home values here this last year because of the demand being so high. So interest rates are super low, and not a lot of sellers are wanting to sell due to COVID. About half the amount of sellers that was selling last year, and this is causing a supply and demand issue. So interest rates are low. And sellers' inventory is low, so then there's a lot of demand. So then, this has continued to happen for the last, decade, but this year was obviously, had a big ramp up because of COVID-19. But a lot of clients are like, hey, prices are up. I just want to make sure that I can afford a house. Like, what if I wait? What if I sit for a couple months and see what happens, right? That's kind of the big thing. What happens? What's going to happen? At the end of the day, you want to purchase a house if you're purchasing as a primary residence based off of the monthly payment, something that you're going to be comfortable with. You want to make sure that you and your family can afford a monthly payment. Now, if a lender qualifies you for a mortgage, they spent a lot more research and time and millions of dollars to determine what is a good balance for somebody to afford a home. What is a good housing balance, right? So if a lender is able to approve you, then in theory, you should absolutely be able to afford a home, right? That's why all these new regulations are put in place now versus 10 years ago. These regulations were not there, so it was real easy to get a mortgage. Now they make it difficult, but not impossible. So, in regards to that, right, in regards to affordability, monthly payments now versus what they were just a couple of years ago, the way that the housing market works in a healthy housing market, which is what we're in, it's going to be interest rates are going to dictate where the property values are going to be, right? So right now, because interest rates are so low and inventory is low, property values are obviously going up and up. Now, at one point, interest rates will turn. It's going to happen. Interest rates are just too low right now. They've been low for the last 6 months, and they'll continue to be low for the next year, which is good news. I've read some articles stating that the feds are intending to maintain these low interest rates. Now, eventually, at one point, these interest rates will go up. And then when those interest rates go up, then houses will stay a little bit longer on the market. And then eventually that's when the price reductions start. But it's a very slow moving process. This isn't something that just happens overnight. With that being said, let's go ahead and compare a house, let's say in 2018 versus a house now, right? Let's go ahead and look at the difference between the monthly payments and what you could afford then and what we're looking at in today's market. So the cool thing is I have lenders that send me weekly updates on interest rates. So I can go back to my emails from 2 years ago to the date and see what the interest rates were at the time for consumers. And it's just phenomenal. I was kind of playing with the numbers, and I'll show you guys. But it's pretty cool to kind of see the difference and compare, what monthly payments are then versus now, and adjust for property values, right? So I'm pulling up a calculator here that I like to use. And this is showing you a $360,000 house right now in today's market. This can get you a nice 4-bedroom house with a pool, 2-story house, or if you're looking for a single-story house, you can get a nice remodeled house in Peoria, North Glendale, North Phoenix for this price. So this is a good purchase price to get you into your first home, absolutely, if you have the income that supports it. But this is definitely a good second home as well. A lot of my clients are purchasing in this price point because some of the nicer homes that are remodeled are hovering right around that, especially with the new FHA limits that are coming out that have increased to 370 for the purchase price. This is going to be even more important, right? So right now, $360,000 house, taxes, I don't know, maybe they're a little bit lower, a little bit more realistic, about $2,200 a year. That's about what you'd expect to pay with your own, this is with your own down payment. With down payment assistance, rates go up. But right now, an FHA loan, 2.375%. I mean, it's absolutely possible. This is 700 credit score or above. We're going to compare the same for both scenarios. Now, this house, let's say house, a magical house on Rio Street is worth $360,000 right now. 2 years ago, maybe the house was worth $300,000, right? So then you think, well, this house is appreciated in value $60,000 over 2 years, which I have seen. That is absolutely something that's not, that's not rare. I have seen homes appreciate that much in value, in the last couple of years. So let's say we're looking at a scenario 2 years ago. You're considering that same $300,000 house. The difference is the interest rates at the time were 4.375, right? This is comparing the exact same lender sending me the rates 2 years ago on this date and the ones that they just sent me this morning. That's where this video came from. He sent me the rates and I checked them out. So you're seeing a house, even though it has appreciated $60,000 in value over the last 2 years, be slightly more expensive in terms of monthly payments. Now, at the end of the day, as a consumer, as somebody that's buying a house as a primary residence, this is what should matter to you: is what is your monthly payment going to be? And if you're a flipper, if you're in the business to invest, and you know that's a completely different conversation. This is talking about clients that are just looking to buy a house for their primary residence, because the monthly payment is what's going to be the most important. So when you compare the two, right, what interest rates were then and prices were then and what they are now, we are at a very solid balance of that. So use this video as a way to give you that extra assurance that at the end of the day, when it comes to monthly payments, yeah, maybe you missed the boat last year. Maybe credit wasn't where it needed to be, or 2 years ago, maybe employment wasn't where it needed to be. You had to clean up your credit and you had to work on your stuff. Don't feel bad about that. It takes time. It takes effort to purchase a house. If you're ready now, don't feel bad about not buying 2 years ago. Okay. That's just something, or even 3 years ago, right? That's just something that, when it comes to monthly payments, you don't want to even look at it that way, because obviously that's going to discourage you. Yeah, that $300,000 house then is now $360,000, but at the end of the day, because of how low the interest rates are, the monthly payments are still essentially the same. Now, let's take the same scenario that we're just looking at right now at a $360,000 house. And let's say that interest rates go back up, right? Let's say that they go climb up in the next 2 years. That same $360,000 house, the monthly payments now an extra $300-400 a month. So you can see how important these rates are and how much they make these increase in housing prices be that much more affordable. So I would just, take that information and run with it, share it with anybody that's on the fence about buying a house or selling a house. This is especially important if you're selling a house, because now you're going to be able to maximize your profits. You're going to be able to make a lot of money on your house, and you're not going to have to put all that money into your new home. And you're still going to have a relatively similar payment than what you did 2 years ago because of how low the interest rates are. Okay, so take this information, please share it. If you have any questions, if you want to reach out, shoot me a text, send me a direct message. We'll get together and start your game plan to get you into a home for 2021. Thank you much. Take care.